From the capital city of Charleston, West Virginia, this is Inside West Virginia Politics with Mark Curtis.
Good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Inside West Virginia Politics. I'm your host, Mark Curtis. This is not an early New Year's Eve party. I don't think we've ever had 5 people on the show before.
I was misled.
There'll be champagne later. Okay, listen, this is our annual roundtable show.
You could have gotten his Lays.
Oh yeah, the governor has as well. We'll get to that. We have our panel of reporters here. We're going to talk about the year of 2018 at the West Virginia Capitol and the state politics. Brad McElhenney, Metro News Radio statewide correspondent, is with us. Adrienne Robbins, my chief deputy political reporter here.
Proudly.
I just gave her a promotion and a title. There's no raise to go with that. Here at Nexstar Media and 13 News, Jake Zuckerman from the Charleston Gazette-Mail and Joe Stevens from WMOV Radio in Jackson County, also part of the Metro News Radio Network. Well, can we all agree the number one story of the year was the teacher strike?
For the sake of conflict, I'm going to go with impeachment.
Oh, okay. We're going to talk about that the next segment.
And for the sake of being local in Jackson County, the pipeline.
The pipeline? Biggest story for you this year?
I would definitely say the teacher strike. Just the sheer size and magnitude of it makes it number one for me.
Jake?
I got to go with the teacher strike. It's what everyone still seems to be talking about, even after the election.
Yeah. I mean, that building shook. When you had teachers from all 55 counties, thousands of them, and they didn't come for just one day and then pack their bags and go home. They stayed for 9 days. They got a 5% pay raise. Are we going to see a fix for PEIA? That was the other part of the deal, Brad.
Boy, you know, I mean, things kind of settled down when late this fall, Governor Justice said, we're going to put $100 million more toward PEIA and shoring it up. He has already offered average 5% pay raises for public employees. But as the PEIA task force kind of concluded its work, you heard some more teacher stuff start to stir up, and you do wonder, might they be right back there at the Capitol again? And in fact, you mentioned the rattling of the Capitol, but there is construction going on right there around the rotunda. So it could be a heck of a scene if it happens again this year.
Yeah, I mentioned to you, Joe, on your radio show one day, don't be surprised if these teachers come back in force if they don't have an insurance agreement that they like.
I'm already hearing that, talking to some of the local advocates from the teachers in Jackson County, that they're watching it very closely, and there's a good chance that you might see a lot of red at the Capitol again.
Your thoughts on this? Going to be a big issue this year?
Well, I guess I just wonder if Jim Justice's 5% pay proposal happens this year, because that's a structural budget change, and B, if that's enough to quell the uprising.
Well, I wondered about that too, because he offered 5%. Now, he said that before the election, and people said, oh, he's just doing that to help his fellow Republicans. The day after the election, I interviewed Governor Justice. He said the 5% pay raise for all state employees, teachers included, was his number one priority from the day one in the legislature. But how do they know day one that they really have the money?
Well, I think the issue is you talk about the teachers could be coming back, and I think that they would like to believe that they would come back if they aren't given what's promised to them. But we have to remember they were so strong because they had all 55 counties. Can they get all 55 counties to walk out again, and will they have the support of the superintendents?
I don't think a walkout is the scenario here. I think more of an information scenario at the Capitol being visible, because you know, you do it once and you get away with it. You do it that second time, I think public resentment might start.
But this went beyond the borders of West Virginia. Were you surprised? I mean, I guess I was, at the influence of the West Virginia Teachers Association, the American Federation of Teachers from the state. They were asked to go to Oklahoma and Arizona and North Carolina, Jake. I mean, this started a movement not only just in this state, but across the country, across the border in Kentucky as well.
I mean, I think you said it yourself, the building was shaking, and there's so much energy in that room, and I don't think that this resentment from teachers being undervalued is just a West Virginian issue. It seems to be exemplified here with how comparatively low the teachers are paid. But there was something going on nationally. It's just a national or even global thing when you just look at the populism that seems to be sweeping now.
Same question I asked Adrienne. Is it conceivable that they'll know on day one of the legislative session if they'll have enough money? I mean, the revenue numbers have been good so far, but the last couple of months have slowed down a little bit. It seems to me we'd see that kind of promise fulfilled towards the end of the session, not the very start.
Well, revenue numbers ebb and flow, but the thing to remember is that teachers are paid in state code, which means that the legislature has to go in and do it. So if you make a change to the state's entire budget based off some good revenue numbers, I mean, just a few weeks ago, we had Mark Mukow coming out and saying, easy guys, there are pipelines being built. Those are bringing a lot of jobs to the area. That's bringing a lot of revenue here. that runs out. That ends in 2019. What are you going to do when you have committed yourself to all this new spending? You going to raise taxes? I don't think that will's there.
Yeah, we'll see. Somebody mentioned the governor and the leis that they all wore at a number of press conferences. We'll see if the flowers come back in 2019.
It was better than the year before with his show and tell.
Yeah, with the cow manure veto. We all remember that, don't we? All right, we're going to talk next about the Supreme Court scandal and the big changes at the High Court when we come back. Stay with us for our Reporters Roundtable here on Inside West Virginia Politics.